G'day, Heath here from pickinglessons.com. Carolyn's Welcome. This is such a pretty tune. In this banjo lesson, we've got a chord melody arrangement. It's in the key of A minor. We're in standard tuning. In a moment, we're going to take a look at part A of the arrangement here. There are two parts. Part A we're going to have a look at here. Pickinglessons.com. You can grab yourself a copy of the complete tablature. In the member section there, we're also going to break down part B of the lesson, and you'll have a play along and backing tracks there once you do get to know the tune. Now, part A, we're in 3/4 time, so this is an air, so it's nice and slow. 3 beats to the measure, key of A minor, but in standard open G tuning, it works just fine. And we're using the chord melody technique, so we're supporting our melody with a bunch of harmony notes from the chords that back the tune. And so as we go through, we've got some techniques to work on. We'll have a bit of a chat about fingering and whatnot as well. There's a bunch of ornaments we need to have a look at as we go through too. So let's get into it. This first opening measure, we've got a pick up note on beat 3. So as we're coming in, we're going 1, 2, 3, and this pull off. So that's on the 3rd beat. Then we're going to hit this A minor position. So we do have to hold a bunch of chords or double stops at times. So this opening one, we've got this A minor chord. And we're going to hold that while we play this melody. So we're using a combination of the thumb on those lower notes and then our fingers for the high notes. Sometimes you need to double up on the same string. Sometimes you need to double up on the same finger. It's slow enough that it's not really going to matter. There are fingering suggestions in the tablature. Certainly keep an eye on that, but have a play around with what's happening, but you've got a little bit of leeway. And so if we just look at this first measure, you're going to pinch with your thumb and index, and then index, middle, and then thumb and middle. So we had to play the middle twice there on string 1, but that's okay. So we're holding this chord. So the left hand, we certainly want to hold those notes down where appropriate. So we're holding the A minor and bringing that little finger in there on the 3rd beat. 1, 2, and 3. We'll repeat that for measure 2. And letting those notes ring out is a real feature of this style of arrangement as well. Let's move on to D minor, so the 3rd measure along. Okay, so a little bit busier. We're starting off with that pinch on the 2 D strings that we have there, and we're going to pull off from the E, back to the open D, into the C, and then a hammer-on pull-off over that 3rd beat. So we've got 16th note triplets on the first half, and then an 8th note on the second half. So we have 3 and. That's our rhythm there, 3 and. So we have the quick hammer-on pull-off in the first half to the A on the second half. So 3 and, 3 and. So that full measure, just have a listen. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Yeah. It's quite a quick hammer-on pull-off there. So be firm enough with the hammer-on and then the flick that we're going to hear those notes, but it's quite quick. Measure 4. This one here is 1E and 2, 3. So that hammer on there, so we're pinching on the double stop, the D and the G, hammering onto the A, open B. And so that happens all in the first beat, 1E and. And then the quarter notes to finish that 4th measure along. Okay, we're going to keep moving through. There's a bit of repeating as we go a little bit later on. So we're going to keep moving through and then we'll have a once through at the end. Measure 5. So this rhythm here, we've got the dotted quarter, 1, 2, and 3. So the pinch there with your middle finger and thumb. You can use your middle finger on the open B and then the double stop there with the pinch. Open Ds again. Now this one here in the 2nd beat, we've got that grace note hammer on, so it's a quick one. So we're going to pick from the C, the 1st fret, but hammer straight onto that 3rd fret D. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Measure 7. Okay, just watching the chord positions again. So holding notes where appropriate. So the A minor that kicks us off, we're going to hold that, move 2nd finger as needed, double stop, take the chord away, and F for measure 8. And that pull off there as we move into the next measure along measure 9. Okay, so Holding chords where appropriate, watching the fingering for the left hand, that's really important. Now the right hand, when you're pinching, okay, using your thumb, but the fingering can be altered depending on what's happening there. So have a bit of a play around, but there is a suggestion in the tablature. Moving on, we have a little bit of a repeat as we played in the beginning. Okay, it's all the same. Measure 12, there's a little difference, this is an easy one. 1, 2, 3, okay. Now, finishing it off here, measure 13. We're up the neck, we're holding this C triad position and we're gonna bar with that first finger, pinching first, 1, 2, and 3 on that second string. F back to the E there, 1, 2, and 3, but all while that first finger's in position. Then we're gonna have this big stretch which pops up a few times in the tune. So we have our F on string 4 and the A on string 1. So we're fret 3, fret 7. Big stretch, keep your wrist nice and low, thumb low on the back of the neck, and you can work on getting that position. If you're sort of up here, you'll have a lot of trouble. So really do get that wrist down so you can open up the fingering stretch. And out of that position, 1, 2, and 3, and a nice little roll there. So the G, the E, and the D. So one probably worth practicing is going from that C into the F. Yeah, just hand position wise. Closing it out over the A minor in measure 15. We've got pretty busy movement here, so watch the fingering. So second and first and third. First, second and first. Yeah, and then the F. And with all those, we're just pinching, finger, pinch, hammer. That's an easier one. And then the F. And the repeat. Now the repeat there, we are going to play this through twice. Second ending will be slightly different, leading us on to part B. So we do play each section twice, A and A, B and B. Now bear in mind it is slow, so you could afford to go a little bit slower and you can certainly afford to go a little bit quicker, but we're in a ballpark here at this tempo. It doesn't want to be overly fast. And air is typically slower on the slower side of things. So let's have a little run through from the top. Let's have a play through together just nice and slow. So we're going to go from the beginning with that pickup note. 1, 2, 3. And then we would go around for the second time. There we have it. So we've got 16 measures there that we then repeat. Now, remember it's a slow one. Try to hold on to those chords. Be comfortable with your fingering choice. But because it's a slower tempo, and of course being a chord melody style, the fingering combinations will vary at times. Suggestions are in the tablature though if you get stuck. One last thing to consider too once you start to get to know the tune is perhaps the tone that you're going to be trying to get as well out of your banjo. So placement of the right hand is going to have a big effect on that and how hard you play as well. So remembering the closer to the neck you are, sort of the warmer, and towards the bridge the brighter the tone. And if you play harder too, that's going to change things. So I've been playing this one quite soft really, and I've been going roughly on my banjo here, this halfway point. Now you can certainly move up a little further. And if you went to the bridge, you know, it certainly changes the tone. So what I've found with this banjo, keeping it nice and gentle, but sort of in that region works nicely. So it's a nice tone and it's a nice attack on those notes. So certainly that is something to consider, is the tone and the sound you're getting from your banjo for a tune like this. Yeah, you don't want it to be a bluegrassy, more twangy sound, so you can experiment a little bit with that too. So keep that in mind. Now, pickinlessons.com, you can grab yourself this tablature there, but in the member section there, we will break down the lesson for part B and continue on there. You'll also have backing and play along tracks once you get to know the tune as well. So pickinlessons.com, I'll see you there.